If you're one of these people paying
Customer.
$5 for a print edition of the newspaper, that's because you're a sucker.
Do you know, I know a guy who still buys the free press at the gas station. That's where you can get it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's almost $5. You know what he buys it for?
Kindling.
Sudoku.
No, so his cat can shit on it. And then he called me up and he noticed the story from the Free Press about Duggan just got hit. We'll get into it when we get on the show.
Right.
Just got hit with a federal case on this demolition shit and poisoning everybody. And he goes, "Did you see this?" I go, "Yeah, I think it was a plant." But anyway, well, let's start the show. In fact, let's just keep all that as the show, bro.
All right.
You want to see what I was doing last week?
I'd love to see what you're doing
my
last week.
column and video hit the Michigan Enjoyer, enjoyer.com. It hit no BS Newshour. And yours? Where do they find you, James Dickson?
James Dickson Podcast. I'm on Substack and Spotify.
Okay. All right, you got that video?
Yep, here we go.
Okay. So what really happened in Michigan's nursing homes during COVID? As you all know, we got 15,000 pages of documents. We've been crunching them. What did we find out? That the state's been lying about the number that died, that their data was bunk, and in order to get the pressure off themselves, they hired an outsider who was actually an insider to actually look at their bunk data and tell everybody mixing the old people was a great idea. It wasn't, and now we're here in Ann Arbor at the Center for Health and Research Transformation, which was funded by Gretchen Whitmer, to find out how they came up with something so incredibly wrong. The door was locked. That's weird. But the security guard let us in. What a nice lady. Look at that. There's dust all over it. Look like they haven't been here in a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Give them another call.
Yeah.
Our open hours are 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our office is not open to visitors.
What?
What number was that from?
That's for them.
Oh. Well, maybe I can check M Community for you. But yeah, like I said, depending on...
Come on.
I'm just confused. If she's
Me
a
too.
professor-
Man, I need a cigarette after that. Did you see that? Office is closed for COVID. It's 2026. What a fucking...
Live from downtown Detroit, it's the No Bullshit News Hour with my main man, Charlie LeDuff and Karen Dumas.
Just breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
I'm Grace Karros, and I'm third generation of American Coney Island. People say Detroit's a comeback city. I say, where you been? We've been here for over 100 years. My family's been here on the same corner, serving our famous proprietary American Coney Island hot dog. So like always, we're keeping things fresh, updated, and new. We'd love to have you come downtown and visit us, but if you can't, you can always go to AmericanConeyIsland.com, order a Coney kit, get it delivered fresh right to your door.
Is this the hole-in-one?
It's a hole-in-one, $50,000 if you hit it.
Luke Nowacki, Financial Wealth Management. What is 50 grand after tax?
37,750.
What about state tax?
Yeah, I'm throwing both in there.
What about sales tax?
There's no sales tax.
Well, you're buying the beer.
It's income.
You'll buy the beer.
We wrate that off.
Luke Nowacki, Financial Wealth Management.
Expense allowance.
248-663-4748 for sound financial advice. Okay. Let me explain that video a little bit more in depth. 50,000 pages of documents. Cost me $3,000, James, to get 600 blank pages from Dana Nessel and a lawsuit. But we got him anyway. Now, here's what we found. An outside, independent, nonprofit was hired by the Whitmer administration to conduct a nursing home response study back in 2020. It ain't over. The independent analysis ultimately claimed that Whitmer's strategy of placing COVID-infected people inside nursing homes was indeed a great success. The study was released to the Michigan media, who snapped it up like seals to the sardine. It became gospel, and the swirling questions about what really happened behind closed doors came to an abrupt end. Do you all remember that? I told you I wouldn't quit on you. Now, the Michigan Enjoyer has unearthed those 50,000 pages of internal Michigan Health Department documents that throw the validity and independence of that study into wild questions. Now, let me do it again. You might have missed it in the video. We called the nonprofit's office a dozen times.
You have reached CHART, the Center for Health and Research Transformation. Our open hours are 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our office space is not open to visitors.
What in the world? Apparently, no one has informed the so-called experts over there that the Biden administration had officially ended the pandemic 3 years ago. And I was laying in bed, James, thinking about it. We, the people, officially ended it 4 years ago. We just stopped listening to them.
Yeah.
That's how, remember? That's how it stopped. It's bullshit. The kids aren't dying. The old people were dying, and they were dying in the nursing homes, and they never counted them. There's no data. There's no data from April and March. The feds didn't require it. We were just letting nursing homes report whatever they wanted to. They had 3 different numbers. I don't know how they came up with the number, but these people took it. So we left messages there. None were returned. Let's go back. Whitmer was facing tremendous pressure over her nursing home policy in the summer of 2020. She and her health experts had co-opted the practice of commingling the sick and healthy from New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Remember? She copied everything because she's a dope.
She copied his homework.
Yes, she did. Now, Cuomo's been on this show. Cuomo abandoned that practice 40 days into the pandemic under the withering criticism from family members of people who had died in the homes. Whitmer, inexplicably, continued on with the practice throughout the entire pandemic. And with the criticism mounting, she needed to show it worked. So her health department hired CHRT, that's the acronym for this group. Her health department hired CHRT, the nonprofit, through another nonprofit whose board of directors is controlled by Whitmer. CHRT was then headed by Marianne Udow Phillips, a former Blue Cross Blue Shield executive, and then the director of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services under Governor Jennifer Granholm. The outsider's an insider. The documents show that Udow Phillips, the supposedly independent outsider, was actually that insider who was actively communicating with the state health officials while conducting the so-called independent study. And they were planning a public relations blitz before the report was even finalized. And I quote, "We had a productive call with Marianne this afternoon," one bureaucrat wrote to then director of the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert Gordon. She goes on, "They plan to issue a press release in conjunction with the report, and we discussed the idea of doing a virtual press briefing together." Why would you do that? Now, Gordon wrote back, "From my perspective, the main points are that CHRT evidence shows the core of our policy, hubs, was reasonable and effective." And they're going to put a nice chart in it. It's going to be a nice chart. That's what he wrote. How would you know there's going to be a nice chart?
I'm surprised they didn't call it safe and effective.
Fuck. The problem with all this is that the Michigan health officials knew the death data in the federally funded nursing homes was comically flawed. Yet the nonprofit took the data at face value anyhow. I neglected to bring a copy, but the preliminary report they put out, there were asterisks at the bottom. Then I went back and Googled it and AI'd it. No one wrote about the asterisk, which says, to be definitive, more data is necessary.
So
I don't know.
What are we studying?
I don't know.
Right?
This is not the Michigan I went to. Okay, a few months before the release of the nursing home report, that director of CHART emailed health officials looking for direction. So this lady emailed health officials asking for direction as to what to feed the media. The media had called her as an independent, and then she called into the health department and said a reporter is doing another article on the lack of data in Michigan nursing home cases and deaths from COVID. I'm hoping to better understand the data limitations we're currently facing and what's being done to address them. Thanks so much.
Now, I know you're too humble to say this, but are you the reporter they're talking about?
No,
Okay.
no. But again, at least somebody's like, hey, I mean, New York is printing death data. Where's ours? We didn't even get any. We got fucked up shit in mid-June only because the feds said so. And then they redid it in October. And we're not going to count all the other assisted living facilities that, by the way, New York did count. We never counted those. In the end, Michigan's final nursing home death, the count is at least 25% lower than the final tallies of both the Auditor General of Michigan and the federal government. Why is that? Udow Phillips, who also worked as an intermediary between the health department and the Michigan Press Corps, declined an interview. Gordon, who left the Michigan Health Department in January 2021 with a $155,506.05 severance package in a murky and probably illegal non-disclosure agreement with Governor Whitmer, wait for this dipshit, went on to serve as a Biden Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services. Fucker fell up. Now, according to his LinkedIn profile, Gordon is now the vice president of a nonprofit think tank leading efforts to modernize state-level administrative systems. Dipshit couldn't do it here, so let's pay him teach others how not to do it. Now, efforts to contact Gordon proved fruitless because his nonprofit has no centralized office and no publicly listed phone number. Seems to be a pattern, James.
Well, I don't begrudge him his success at the Leering Center.
Nuts. And then finally, here's what AI is revealing. And I'm going to have to go back on my lawsuit with Nestle. Remember when the DOJ Civil Rights Department asked the Whitmer administration, this is where this all begins with me, this hunt. Give us your nursing home records. And we actually were never told what she told the feds. Through a deep AI dive, and we got a lot of people working on it. The 50,000 pages I have, it doesn't appear to be in there either. And you know that's a public record, right? Give it to the DOJ, case is closed. What'd you give them? Why did you redact 600 pages that I paid $3,000 for? Some cavalier response? Because I'm going to remind you all. The big wave, the first wave of COVID was March and April, and we weren't counting, and we continue to commingle. But the biggest wave, almost twice as big as the first wave, was in November and December. So it was like almost 4,000 in the first wave, almost 6,000 in the second wave, and we were continuing to commingle.
And as for the idea that this is just something that couldn't have been anticipated, couldn't have been known, you know, our public TV stations, the TV news in Detroit, they have these public access files. So I looked at them, the public inspection files. On, I think it was March 16th, 2020, Channel 7 runs a story about they found a positive case in a nursing home in West Bloomfield. They moved that person out of the nursing home.
To where?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you move the sick out away from old because you don't want old to get sick. Old and sick is a bad combination.
Thank you.
Just like fat and sick. And so you have in early March, like a week into this thing, forget the fog of war, you had a clear idea of what to do. You want to remove old and sick from old.
Wow, you're a fucking genius.
And Gretchen Whitmer does the exact opposite.
Yes.
Brings sick in with old. And the idea that there's a buffer, that requires you to not know a thing about how nurses work, which is that if there's work to be done, they do it. If their colleagues need help, they give it. The idea that some kind of Chinese wall was going to stop you from helping out your colleague or helping out a patient who needs it, because supposedly these are the sick people and these are the well people. was never going to happen.
You know, and I want to move on with this because we got like good stuff going on and some of the work you're doing, but I don't know how far to go with this. I'm expecting there's a debate tomorrow night, the Oakland County GOP gubernatorial debate in Auburn Hills. I'm one of the moderators. They don't listen to podcasts. They're old guys. So, you know, I can't do all this. I don't know what the attention span of it is. So I'm going to ask them, like, are we going to have a blue ribbon panel where we're going to study this and try to get some answers? Because the end of life care is fucked up, right? But I found this in these documents. I don't know if people want this story. Remember we had the field hospital at TCF, Old Cobo Hall, and they put tens of millions into it with the air filtration systems and the barometric, like it's Star Trek. Whoop, you got to go there. It closes. Whoop, you come out, right? So you get steam bathed and shit.
And in Novi.
Yeah. And a total of 50 people, right? So why did you shove them in the nursing homes? Part of the reason was financial. Okay, so the federal government kicked most of the money into fixing these field hospitals up. But once you take someone out of a nursing home, the feds, nursing homes, right? These skilled nursing facilities, the federal ones, that's paid for by Medicaid and Medicare. Okay, so if you're not actually in a facility that's licensed by Medicaid and Medicare, who has to pay for the medical costs? Who pays for the nurses? Who pays for the doctors? There was never an agreement of who was going to. So they didn't want to put them in there because it was going to cost.
Right.
So all the free money going around.
We didn't want to be sent a bill after setting.
We
up
didn't want to
this
be
whole-
sent a bill.
right.
Just stick them back in the nursing home, and the feds will pay for it.
And that's when so when Gretchen Whitmer would say that we need a national plan for COVID, what she means is more national dollars. And an Auditor General report actually found they studied all the spending that Michigan did related to COVID, like years later. And they found that something like 98% of every dollar spent on COVID came from the feds. So there was a national plan. And when Whitmer said there should be a national plan, what she really meant is there should be more federal money.
Yes.
In addition to the 90. I guess they should have spent 105% of the money that was spent.
We need to squander more money. That was what she was saying, right? I don't know. So I'll get off it, folks, but I made you a promise in the beginning that I'd see it through, and I will, as I do all the. Tracy Kornack going to be in probate court in Allegan County on Monday. Lots of people are going because witnesses are now going to start talking.
Ooh, great.
Ooh. Okay. So the debate is tomorrow night. If you want to go, figure it out. Doors open at 6 and they're closing at 6:45. It starts promptly at 7 and ends promptly at 8. Okay? So you'll get your look. I think it's the only one. It's the only one I know of. It's even been scheduled. All right. So what I got here, it's been a long night. My mom's not doing well. So in Red, update on Red, I don't want to give too much. It's his personal thing, but he had some surgery. I'm hoping it went well. Saw him a couple times. He looks well, but he's in a lot of pain. He got nailed. God bless you both. Claude, do you remember?
Was he vaxxed?
Huh?
Was he vaxxed? Was
No, he got mowed over by a car.
He got hit by a car?
Yeah, he's you didn't watch the show last week, did
Thanks
you?
for listening.
Dude, I'm like, we roasted him. You know, we did some comedy, and then his ex-wife was by his side, and his son Dev. Hey, Dev, shout out. She liked it. I roasted him, and then they're like, you know, I don't want to give his particulars because I can't ask him, but he had to get surgery, and I'm like, oh my God, like everybody from here works at the Coney. You know, we all converged on it. General manager, everybody. And I was just so shaken when I was told about the surgery. I'm like, I'm going to look like such a dick. Don't die, Red. I'm fucking cracking jokes and they're cutting you open too soon.
He would have liked it.
Well, he's going to like it because he's going to be
will.
better.
Yes.
All right, let's what we got here? Let me hear from XG Service Group if we could, and then we'll get into.
Well, you know, when it rains, the power goes out, and when the power goes out, the internet goes out. When the internet goes out, I call my friend Matt and Bernie at XG Service Group. Look at Bernie here on his hands and knees, giving it everything he's got. Look at that man crack. so busy, he forgot to wear a belt. There's Matt right there getting the board together. That's 734-245-4100 if you need Matt and Bernie to come take care of your voice over internet, your security cameras, off-campus access control, Wi-Fi, and cameras for homes and business. They'll design it for you. You got restaurants, they do drive-through systems, railroad cameras for public safety, total wireless camera systems for your home and business. Yeah, that's right. Call XG Services at 734-245-4100. I just came up with a jingle.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Don't smell like a rando. Get yourself some Mando. It's the acidified body wash and deodorant for real, man. For your heels, your balls, and your pits.
Every part.
Even your teeth. Smell this, bro.
It's good. Smell it. Everyone has to.
Seriously.
Look, I'm not hating on your steez. I never would. It's just I do find myself troubled by how insistent people are on not taking showers. You know what I mean?
Do you do
like
both?
people kind of look for these loopholes. Like, oh, if it's been 48 hours, I'm like, are we not doing a tight 24 now?
Well, look, you wash, then you keep yourself pH balanced through the day, bro.
Right. It's the
with a nice undertone, right? It's not like Old
the
Spice.
bacteria. It's not the
It's not that stick glue that everybody else puts on. You know,
no
I know.
aluminum either.
I know, yeah, and no aluminum. Yep. And I know what you're all thinking. Where can I get me some?
Where?
Shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. Use the code NOBS, 20% off. Go to the site, you'll see it. 20% off, no BS. Okay. Well, I'm going to grill the Republicans tomorrow. Let's take a look at the Democrat and the Independent also running for governor. Let's start with Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, who is running to become the Democratic candidate for the governor of Michigan. And as the Secretary of State, she will be overseeing her own election, which is fucked up. Yeah. Okay. So the news is, go to enjoyer.com. I had pitched it, and the editor goes, Brendan goes, James got it. I go, oh, we're good then. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're good then. So it was the Southern Poverty Law Center. Just go ahead. What happened with the Southern Poverty Law Center? Do my work for me. I'm tired.
Absolutely. So Southern Poverty Law Center, they're in a bunch of trouble, facing federal indictments. Long story short, let
me throw this in. They're facing federal indictments for manufacturing right-wing threats that they say they are in the business of exposing and getting rid of.
Right.
Take it away, sir.
Absolutely. And so the period covered in the indictments is 2014 through 23. But Benson was on the board there from 2014 to early 2019 when she became Secretary of State. And this also covers 2017, Charlottesville, August 2017, the Tiki Torches, the woman.
Explain what the indictment says, just real tight.
Yeah. What it says basically is that they would fund people in these organizations to be infiltrators. And essentially, so if someone in a mob throws a brick, then people will start throwing bricks. And so they would hire the brick thrower to inflate oh my God, these groups are so dangerous, which is why we need to exist, which is why Southern Poverty Law Center needs you to donate.
They were funding the leader of the clan, the leader, right? Not, and I don't know why they need infiltrators. That's law enforcement, right? You can do studies. I don't get that. But the Charlottesville guy, actively directing him, he's arranging for buses for Tiki Torch guys. By the way, no one ever bothered to count how many there were or what all their names were.
Right.
It seems like the Law Center would publish a list of everyone.
Absolutely.
Never got that. Okay. And then they're posting, he's posting hate speech as they watch. They're letting him do it. And then a couple of these informants, they put up the wanted poster, the most white racist in America. And he's the guy they're paying.
Right.
They're promoting what the fuck?
That's exactly it. They're creating the very evil they claim to be fighting against, because the Southern Poverty Law Center and Jocelyn Benson share a common problem.
You know,
the supply of racism.
What my wife said?
What's that?
She said, I'm so bummed out. I said, why is that? She said, because I thought they were the good guys. And I go, yeah, that's your political persuasion's cool, no matter what it is, right? But when you find out you've been manipulated, then you got to back
You
off.
should be mad at those people.
Exactly.
And so here's what I would tell your wife. Very Amy,
Yeah.
love you.
Nice.
I'm not in love with her. I just love, Christian brotherly love.
Yeah. Human being.
Yeah. But what I would say is actually this is good news, Amy. This is good. This is great news because these problems we were told were so great and just so intractable actually don't even really exist. We actually are the country where things were so non-racist when I was growing up that my parents had me and my sister watch Eyes on the Prize, the documentaries about the civil rights movement and busing and integration and all that. And those were hard-fought battles. Things were so good growing up in Inkster that we had to be told about the racism of the past. And then less than a decade after I'm watching Eyes on the Prize, America elects Barack Obama. We are closer to that place than what you saw in Charlottesville. And so what I would ask anyone watching, just watch the Charlottesville footage, watch it on mute. Watch it on mute and tell me, do I see conservative young men who are pissed off or do I see theater kids acting?
Yeah, and I don't like being spied on and etc. I was doing some reading. Okay, my wife's one of the good ones. She can look at it and oh my God, accept it, right?
Right.
A lot of people don't want to. So this goes back, I think, to the hunting and gathering days, the ancestors. When you were wrong, that damaged the tribe, that caused death, and you had a lot of reason to correct yourself, because it's going to cost. You'll be cast out if you don't, if you keep making mistakes. Today, the way we got society structured, the clan, there's no consequence for being wrong except the loss of social stature. That's right. So people double down on it and they look for a new clan of believers. And I'm like, don't buy it. Again, the way we should spend money, right? Socially, labor laws. I'm good. I love having the discussion. But when you presented with the evidence that they've manipulated, you stop letting yourself be manipulated. Now we go back to Benson, who's on the board of directors at the time. My question is, what does a director on a board do? Claude, please. Thank you. You are in charge of looking at the money, the bank accounts,
right?
The payroll.
Right.
So you're looking at, okay, we're the Southern Poverty Law Center. What's this dummy corp? Dummy, because it was money laundering and stuff. Here's one corp with one bank account. We fund them. What do they do? And the indictment alleges they don't do anything, right?
Absolutely.
And then there's 5 more banks that are now paying the informant. Why are you doing this?
Right. Right. Why would you ever need to operate that way if you were doing the right thing?
Is
if
that
you were doing stuff you could stand up and, and defend? And so, yeah, these people were creating the very evil they claim to be rallying against. Now, why would they do that? Because there's political advantage to be had. Jocelyn Benson truly believes she is a grandchild of the civil rights movement. For about a decade more. She's been taking law students at Wayne State down to Selma, Alabama, where they take selfies and they act like they're John Lewis and they act like they're getting into good trouble. And so if you believe those things, you can't let this racism thing go. You want to feel like you're living in important times. It's the same reason college kids protest, because they look at the the iconography of it and you see, oh my God, these guys are protesting civil rights in Vietnam and apartheid. They changed the world. We have to find our cause to change the world.
And there is racism. There's no doubt about that. But to engage in this just diminishes all of us. You're creating a boogeyman.
So here's the example I would use. We all saw Nick Shirley's reports on the fraud in Minnesota, the fraudulent daycares and home health services, right? Imagine if Nick Shirley created those P.O. Box businesses so as to expose them. That's what Southern Poverty Law Center just did. It's beyond the pale. And, my friend Anna Hoffman, she sent me this great scholarly article talking about some issues with methodology. This was long before there was any criminal charges. And one thing the author said is, you could do a really good story looking at the hate map, looking at the most recent hate map, because what they found is a lot of these groups on the hate map are hate groups in name only. It's a P.O. box. It's maybe a website created by a liberal to make you think there's racism.
Let's just look. I did it famously, I would say, did a piece where I carpooled with the Grand Dragon of the Loyal White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. My name's Charlie. I'm a reporter, and I want to drive with you. And I went to go see the Loyal White Knights. There it is. There's the P.O. box, right? Mm-hmm. There's the trailer. And then you get the minister, the Baptist minister, and he's like, here's what he said to me. Black man, obviously. I go, you know, the Klan's headquartered here at the P.O. box. He goes, I didn't know there was a Klan here. And you know the minister would know. He goes, I didn't know there was any Klan here. This guy that I was driving with flew in from Orange County, California.
Bingo.
5 minutes from Disneyland, and I Google Earthed his house. There's a Latino mowing his lawn.
People need to create these evils.
So is this what you want in your chief executive officer of the state of Michigan, one who's flouting federal election law? You know, I don't know. But I do know that what she's involved with, and this is her case, has created such a vile climate in this country. You could see it at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Absolutely.
This fucking nut guy thought he was doing the world a favor.
These concerns are not theoretical or hypothetical. The hysteria that's inspired by the idea that we are swallowed up by constant hate. Perfect example. Slightly different, but a great example, I think. Think about that kid, Patrick Leoya in Grand Rapids, right? Comes to America in 2014, 2022, flees a traffic arrest, gets shot in the head by a cop and killed. So if you come to America in 2014 and you watch the news, you might actually think with Ferguson and Mike Brown and then the Washington Post doing databases on every police shooting and not giving the true context of how rare it actually is, you might actually think that a traffic encounter is a matter of life and death.
Yes.
And so then you do the only thing that would make it a matter of life and death, which is flee the car and fight the cop.
That's right.
And who benefits from this? The people who turn you into a hashtag are the ones who benefit.
Indeed.
There is a hate industrial complex. And we have to, if you're not celebrating how far we've come as a country, it's probably because you like to benefit from the bad old days.
You know what I celebrate? How far we can go as a country. Because we can continue to perfect the greatest experiment in human history. You know what I mean?
A more perfect union.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
And this isn't helping.
No.
I'm gonna ixnay it. You know, the guy from the brewery in Wisconsin, who's like, oh, too bad they didn't, pop Trump. Like it was gonna be free beer day.
Yeah.
And he took it down. And I'm like, if you believe it, leave it up. I was gonna call as a reporter, not as a doxer. But I'm not gonna, man. Because I just got the vibe like that just keeps it going, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I'm just going to leave it.
It feeds into it.
Okay. We were just downstairs talking before we came up. Michigan State Senator Manhattan Mallory McMurderer. Pick your nickname.
Yeah. I like McMarxist. Anna Hoffman came up with that one. That was a good one.
But she's a rich chick.
Yeah.
How can a Marxist being a rich chick? We could take your apartment first.
I mean, heck, most of them are. Bernie Sanders, right? He stopped saying millionaires and billionaires after he became a millionaire. Yeah. Now it's just billionaires who are the problem.
Billionaires and really big billionaires.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mallory McMorrow, another $3 bill.
By the way, see, like Bernie Bros, I get it. I was culturally like I'm feeling the Bernie burn here, the bro, right? But it's now proven, as he was director of the Senate Budget Committee, that Bernie economics don't work. Printing money is not the answer. If you want to redistribute wealth or redistribute how work gets done, right? He never accomplished it. All we got was inflation and shortages. You notice
no one ever does that? Mark Zuckerberg will give money to protest organizations, but he won't say, let's get kids learning how to code so maybe they can work at Facebook someday and do something nice for themselves. They never give you the tools. They just keep you angry.
Yeah.
The Obamas, they never sought out to create more Obamas. Instead, the people who get the best of America complain the most about America, all to feed this idea that if you're a Black American, you're hopeless, you're helpless, And the only thing that could ever go well for you is if you elect more Democrats.
Okay, Minister X, sir. Margaret, you don't laugh at that. Okay, thank you. You're supposed to laugh on command.
We're gonna add the laugh in post.
Oh yeah, we can.
Yeah, I'll add it.
So, what do we know about these tweets from McMurrow? She is running for U.S. Senate,
Right.
in the state of Michigan, where she's not from. So, what do we know?
She's not from, even in spirit, like Alyssa Slotkin. Her first time voting in Michigan was in 2018 when she voted for herself. But at least she grew up here, right? She knows the mile roads and stuff. McMorrow is one of these people who totally has only experienced Michigan as a politician. And so she's taken from Michigan and not given to it. And, you know, some of her complaints, you could say, okay, she's just complaining about the Michigan weather. Who doesn't? But on the whole, you look at it.
What was the you've seen the tweets?
I've seen some of the tweets, yeah.
What's the flyover tweet?
And the whole thing about it makes me miss California. That word is like a trigger word for us, right?
Flyover country makes her
miss California, and the weather makes her miss California, because we have this fear that powers from other states are placing politicians here, carpetbaggers, to run Michigan, and that fear is justified. I mean,
well, let me say this: like, I grew up here. I went to Manhattan. You know, I love New York.
Absolutely.
My daughter was born in California. I love California, but once my daughter was born, I wanted to come back to flyover country. This is the greatest place on earth. This thing we call Michigan. I needed her to be of this place.
One of us.
I don't complain about being here.
Right.
I want it fixed.
Right.
So, also in these tweets, thousands that she deleted, I kept one. I kept one of the COVID ones. Well, that'll come later. But she was voting in California while living here.
She was voting up until 2016 in California.
That's not legal.
Where it turns out they didn't need her vote. Hillary Clinton won by so large a margin in California, and it didn't help. Michigan, it was a 10,000 vote race. She could have actually helped her girl Hillary Clinton get across the goal line, but she was so identified with California that she voted there and not in a swing state.
Absentee, or did she fly?
Oh, I got to think it was absentee.
Flied over.
Got to think absentee.
And they mailed it to Michigan.
Yeah.
That's not legal.
And at some point, it's like, don't you just live
Jocelyn, you should look into that.
Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, I think we're still waiting for her findings on whether Jocelyn Benson violated the rules by starting her own campaign at her office, or turning in the ballots at her own office, or running the election that she's got. I mean, how could you run an election? And how that question goes unasked. Our friend Craig Mauger at the Detroit News just did this little Q&A with Benson. And I know what happened here. I know what happens when there's a Q&A, right? So you're at the Democrat convention, you bump into this top candidate, top newsmaker. They give you a little 5-minute hallway interview.
It's usually prearranged.
And they call you up. So you call your editor, and they're like, well, what's the news? There's not any news. Just run it as a Q&A. We don't even have to pretend to have a story. We're quoting the words, right?
Yeah.
I think they even put it in red letters, like Jesus in the Bible. And never asks about the conflict of interest, with running the election, counting your own votes. Never asks about the Chinese voter scandal. I mean, just so many newsworthy
why you
things.
won't turn election data and voter rolls over to the feds as required by federal law.
Right. I mean, we have 500,000 more voters registered in Michigan than we have adults.
I bet.
Just ask the obvious stuff.
We've got 17,000 people over the age of 100 registered to vote, when the Social Security Administration says there's only 2,000 people in Michigan over the age of 100.
Right.
What the fuck?
So that alone is more than the margin Trump won Michigan by in 2016.
And we just want to look.
These are huge chunks
I'm no
of people.
conspiratorialist. When I see real, hard, solid evidence, I give it to you. But you're creating such a cloud that people don't believe in the system, which is going back. That's the method for the Southern Poverty Law Center. That's the same.
It's the same
book.
MO. That's exactly it. And Benson has also benefited personally from inflating reports of violence and hate. I mean, in her memoir,
your article at Joyer.com, it was good, dude, because obviously you have read her autobiography after the 2020 election with
By the way, watch this. No 150,000 ballots came into Cobo Hall. I was there. They didn't come in. Did they do it electronically? Okay, you want to believe it? I don't see any evidence, but I'm just saying that. On the other side, Benson writes what in her book about her place she lives?
Yeah, claims that her house was, protesters outside of her house, armed protesters.
Armed protesters.
The book starts with her taking a call from Dana Nessel and them asking each other, Dana Nessel's our attorney general, and them asking each other,
Pause.
whose house are they going to go to first?
No, they were asking each other, can you get rid of the criminal referral on my wife?
Right.
No, but
yeah, and so because they had heard from Whitmer's team that these protesters were going to come to some female statewide official's house, and I guess they ruled out Whitmer. Which one's it going to be? It was Benson, and that's not bad enough, right? You can't just say, "Hey, my house," but now it has to be they were armed. Well, everyone in Michigan pretty much ran with that. They took her word for it, just like they did with Slotkin and Garland Gilchrist, and saying that they faced bomb threats. National Review was the only one who actually called the cops. They called Detroit police and Michigan State police, who say there's no evidence that anyone was armed.
wow.
So unless Jocelyn Benson has X-ray vision, how would she possibly know that? Or is it one of those things that's good enough to claim and know that our clown media is going to run with and no one's going to seriously check out?
Jeez. Okay, now the independent Mike Duggan. Here's I'll use a clown media, right? Okay, so we get last week, Troy Free Press in the editorial page, they're running a long story about how Mike Duggan, who for a decade oversaw this demolition program, and we knew the whole time they were pouring poison dirt in there, one of his handmade contractors got caught. This is a huge scandal. Current mayor was actually sleeping with the contractor and voting to give him contracts. Now it comes out in the editorial page, the whole thing. Woman's never written a word about it. And here's the news. The case has been turned over to the feds. Mike Duggan has yet another federal investigation because they follow him wherever he goes, right?
Right.
I'm like, forget the fact that I reported it 3 weeks earlier on this show in the Enjoyer, right? All of a sudden, it's news. Yeah. But it was a misdirection. It was an election year plant. Had to be. I don't know for sure, but it had to be because in the article, she writes, I was just checking up on the status of the investigation into Mike's mass poisoning. So I called down to the press office of the Detroit Police Department, low-level person, right? The spokesperson.
Right.
And the spokesperson just cavalierly says, oh, no, we gave that to the feds. The feds have that now. FBI's looking into them, right? Like, that doesn't happen. You got to go top level with that, right? It's not like the chief of police is sharing that with her. If anybody happens to call, you probably got it from here. The Democratic machine came up with the template.
That's the framing they want. Yeah.
Because as soon as somebody sent me that and I opened it, not 3 minutes later, the Democratic state party's response, boom, 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 coordination. It looks like. I'm like, election year, right?
Absolutely.
Election year. But here's the thing. Let me correct. I'm going to show you how this is really working. How fucking diabolical it is. How you're getting played. The writer, look, so the whole thing is the Democrats want to take out Duggan because he's a turncoat and they could split the Democratic vote, right? Duggan and Benson, so that they got to clobber the guy. They write that Democratic mayor, now Mayor Mary Sheffield, didn't know about it. It went to the feds. But here's what really happened, and this is why I got it. I know people sitting at the table. They don't know I know. I got people. I've been here a while. Not only did City Hall know, they're the ones that orchestrated it. Why would they orchestrate? Because it was Detroit Police Department's organized crime unit that was looking into it. They were working with the Attorney General. Okay, the police and the Attorney General. The command came from on high to the police. Give it to the feds and give it to the Department of Natural Resources. They're not going to do anything, right? I've reached out to them then. Why would you give it to the FBI? Because what's the FBI's jurisdiction? This is local money. It's not federal money. So there's nothing that the FBI is going to do. Plus, they move glacially, right? We move that away.
It's like putting a bill in committee.
Go ahead.
Well, you put it in committee knowing that if it makes it out, it'll make it out in such a long time frame that it's a way of slowing the whole thing down to a crawl.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So, in the end, Mary's got to take a hit in the newspaper, but she's 4 years out. People will forget about it. You need to take one for the team. And we got to pop Duggan, who deserves to be popped. I'm glad they did the story. Right. But let's stop pretending it's exclusive. Let's stop pretending that they didn't know. Let's stop pretending this is going to go somewhere. It's theater.
Yeah.
And the people get no justice.
And the journalism is theater. And that's what really
going back to the nursing home.
That's what really bothers me about this is how incurious our colleagues have become. I say this this is true of propaganda, and it describes a lot of news. In propaganda, you don't print what's true, you print what's useful. And that's where they are. If it happens to be true, great. But if it is of use, if it furthers our objectives, that's what we do print. And guys, you're held to a different standard. These Detroit news guys, they love talking about we're newspaper of the year for the umpteenth year in a row when it's only one other paper they could compete with. But when there's criticism, now you're crazy and now you're this and you're that and you're spending your whole weekend on them. You guys have glass jaws. You're soft. And if you listen to us, Charlie and I are your biggest fans, guys. We're your biggest fans. We are some of the people who read your work the closest. And to try to turn that around into a bad thing tells me what you think about your work. And it does not tell me I should stop. It tells me I'm right over the target. So you can expect to hear more. James Dickson podcast, we'll be doing a full apology to the Detroit News because I've been going so hard on some of my colleagues and I just want to tell you what I really feel.
You want to be the public guy. That's part of it. We haven't forgot about the people of Southfield.
Criticism.
I mean, if
I live in Southfield,
why hasn't any organization talked about how this has now bled into Southfield?
Right.
Where all the poison shit was coming from.
Right.
No, they won't touch it.
And I think it was so smart what you did because we all okay, the Northland dirt, you wouldn't want that. But it's like, I live in Southfield. I don't want it here either. Why was it here?
Right.
Why did it remain there?
Why is it still there?
Why did it have to be taken?
No acknowledgement?
And you drive around 10 miles. There's all kinds of these dirt piles around. And what are we breathing? What are we breathing? Do we even know?
Touch. So, I think I said this. It's worth repeating because you don't listen to this show, but that's okay. I'm not offended. But
I missed one episode.
That's fine.
I missed one episode.
So I was working on the building here, and I went downstairs, and it was a Fed wearing a bow tie, handsome guy, well dressed, and I'm all dirty, right? I got a mask on, and he says, "Doing a great job." He goes, "All that dirt's poisoned, and we know it." I go, "Everybody in the office?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Why can't you help me?" He says, "Not our jurisdiction." They've all known for years.
Not our jurisdiction.
Not our jurisdiction. Like the bureaucracy is just out of control.
And now we're in that Chinatown territory, right? It doesn't matter at this moment in Michigan who did what. The question I always ask people, who would investigate? Who would realistically investigate? Detroit police? Are they going to do anything that hurts Mike Duggan, who presumably would have a lot of information on the current? No, they're not. Is Attorney General Dana Nessel going to do it? Who would be those people? People do investigations. We don't have the people.
Well, we got, I don't give up. So, there's some things in the work. It's not disappeared. You've got my word on it. It's not. And if I got to just delete any source that don't want to help, I'm going to do it. Because if you're not going to be helpful to the people, you don't need to be on my phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You kept this thing alive for years. I mean, it would have been easy for years to paint you as obsessed. Oh my God, he's tweeting so much about the dirt. And now look at it. Now it's finally so big that even a media that goes out of its way to deny these stories has to report on it.
Oh, now they're delicious because, like free press is left. Mm-hmm. It's election year. Okay, now we could use it. Like
it's useful.
You could have helped stop it.
Right.
And you didn't. And that's just a fact.
Well, they lost the one reporter there who used to really dig, Kat Stafford. And then, this is a little discussed distinction in news, but there's a big difference between news and coverage. And so much of what we read on any given day is just coverage.
You want
These people said this thing at this event.
You want to see something?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what a fucking mess it is. This is how fucked up it is down here. Like, you read the newspaper, but that's not really telling you. A demolition contract. A purchase order, it's called. The purchase order is like, okay, contract's all set. The money's been set aside. You're good to go. This is the proof it's been set aside. That's what a purchase order is, right?
See it?
Yeah. So there it is. It's what's it? $18,400 something dollars?
Yep, 18,428.
For a demolition, right?
Yep.
Who's it made out to? Who's the recipient?
Sold to Detroit, John K. Sears, SC Environmental Services LLC.
Yeah. Okay. Can you put up John's photograph?
Sure.
He's a handsome guy. Looks like an outdoorsman.
What? Is that an obituary?
From 5 years ago? So a guy who died in Baja, California on a motorcycle 5 years ago just got a approval to carry on with a $19,000 job?
What?
Yeah, January 8th, 2026 was the purchase order date.
Does that blow your mind?
Damn.
Blows my fucking mind, dude.
It's just crazy to look at him knowing you'll never get to meet him, you know?
That's sad. Yeah.
Maybe,
I'd like to see his voting record at this point. I mean, no disrespect to Mr. Sears, but
yeah, All right. So last thing, man. That's the shit behind the shit. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
No fear, no favor.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you brought up the Detroit police. Last thing. I've been doing this forever, ladies and gentlemen. Not this last Sunday, not just a couple days ago, but the Sunday before, Saturday night. But it was early. It was 3 a.m. On the west side of the city, you heard it's the drifting going on.
Oh yeah,
drifting, car accident, car chase, pull over in a gas station. 3 people get out of a car. Right. Gonna cost the driver of the other car, and the guy in the back of the other car, pop, 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 drops all 3 of them. 3 dead, right? You heard it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then, as is her purview, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy says we're not charging with murder. It was self-defense. So it's a homicide, but we're not charging for murder. It's a homicide. The police don't count these in their tally.
Right.
In the final tally, these 3, when they stand up there and go, the city's safe.
Right.
3 people go missing off the books. It was a violent, illegal, very dangerous scene out there. And if we don't write it down and remember it, it disappears.
Right. 2
years ago at the Lions tailgate in
Eastern Market.
Yes.
Remember? 2 guys get into beef. One guy, they both got guns. One guy pulls out his gun, blasts him. Okay, so he's gone. Ricochets and hits the peacemaker, and he dies. It is self-defense. Even for the innocent bystander. They're not counted. Now, that shows you how dangerous it is to get loaded, go down to Eastern Market and fuck around.
Right.
But when January comes around, statistically, historic lows.
And so here's the problem with that whole thing. I could make more of a case that the organizers of the rally should have been charged with felony murder than that no one should have got charged with anything. Literally, the illegal act of the drifting led to a precipitation of events that resulted in 3 people dying. That's felony murder. That's not everybody gets off.
And yes. And then the report of the police broke it up. Well, nowhere in any report is how long were they drifting before the police were able to get to it. Because we know they're very undermanned.
Right.
And underwomaned, which brings me to Home Depot the other day, right? A couple of guys getting into beef at the Home Depot, and there's a cop there, and she's armed and in her uniform because they don't get paid enough, so they do side jobs.
Right.
Working security at Home Depot. And is there a sound to this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. She's trying to break it up. He got a pipe in his hand. There's a crew of guys wanting to beat his ass. I guess they were walking around the neighborhood making trouble all day long. There's nothing she can do. How tall is she, you think?
5'3".
5'3". Look at that. They're yanking her around.
You know, though, I give her credit for getting in there and doing her job.
She's doing her job.
Hey, how you doing?
But, you know, is it effective? Triple
That
murders.
just breaks my heart to see.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Uh-oh.
It's just about time, right?
It is.
Okay. Good thing it was cold this last Saturday because there's another teen takeover scheduled for Detroit. So none of them came down. Well, it could be a long, hot summer. But in order to combat this, City Hall's got a great new idea. Okay, we got drifting and undermanned police department. So what we're going to do is get a hold of the kids and encourage them to come down. And we're going to have a little dance party. Here we go. This is all staged for TikTok. Look at this. So, look.
Kickback.
And the mayor doing the electric slide. How you doing? Electric slide. There you go. Let's do some selfies. They wanted to cater it. They did. They wanted to cater it. And then somebody said, you should think about that twice.
They should have called it Occupy Hart Plaza. Remember Mary Sheffield used to do those Occupy the Corner events?
Yes.
Mac and Bewick, you know?
Yes.
But I think that has that connotation maybe you don't want when you're in charge of the whole city.
Oh, my God.
'Cause
Oh,
it's
my
clearly a reference to Occupy Wall Street, right? So
we're going to keep on. No BS Newshour, the Michigan Enjoyer, and James Dickson. It's down I-75 is your Twitter
yes,
handle.
sir.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
It's a very active and funny and insightful thread that you laid down.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks for being here. And Mom, I love you. Red, I love you. Power of the people. See you next week.